So we're back. Second trip to Custer's last stand, or the Little Bighorn battlefield. Let's see if we can lighten that up. There we go.
I guess when we were here last time, we missed a few things.
Yeah, I think we rushed through it last time.
Yeah. We're gonna take the road out to see the battlefield.
Yeah. So this hill right behind us here, that's where Custer's last stand was, where Custer fell. So we're gonna check that out, check out the visitor center. But you were saying?
What I didn't realize is that this part over here was for the soldiers, and then this side was for like family and civilians.
Well, no, they're all soldiers. They're all soldiers. The family could be buried with them.
Oh, okay.
But they had to be a soldier, because this is still a national cemetery.
Okay.
So as long as the soldier is buried here, then the spouse, children,
okay,
can be buried here. But
well, that's
these,
what I meant. I thought that they would be buried together, but they're separate. Well, of course they're separate because, like the infants that died.
yeah, some of them are.
Okay.
Definitely. But we're in this old section where most of these are from the 1880s, 1890s. There are a couple new,
World War
as
II.
in World War II. Yeah, we never explored any of this last time, and I'm really glad we're taking our time today.
Yeah.
And we're here with Dustin and Leslie, and that's going to be, I don't want to use the word fun, but it's going to be interesting to get the perspectives of the four of us.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's take you along.
Yeah. So we are out at the Little Bighorn battlefield, and this is the National Cemetery that's adjacent to the battlefield, or actually in the battlefield.
Yeah.
And significance is I'm here with Dustin Wagner, retired Army First Sergeant. For those of you that don't know, beyond being a big thing on YouTube, a couple things we have in common, being retired Army guys. But Dustin was in the 7th Cav.
Yeah, it was my first duty station in the Army ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gary Owen, and they are the unit that Custer led here on this battlefield.
Yeah.
So it's really neat being here with him. We're just kind of walking through the battlefield here, or
Yeah.
the cemetery. We haven't even touched the battlefield yet. And just kind of looking at the unit designations.
Yeah, lots of cav, lots of infantry.
Yeah, so, there's a lot more to the story than what everybody just kind of hears.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to learn more today.
Yeah.
But what are your initial impressions, if you don't mind?
Well, any national cemetery is always impressive to me, just because you get to, it kind of takes you back through the history of the units that fought here, and not just fought here, but you'll see people here from the Spanish-American War, Civil War, Vietnam, Korea, both World Wars, and they stopped burying people here in 1978. So you won't see anybody.
We're gonna get wet. Sorry, we had to move. The sprinklers are going off.
Yeah, so they stopped burying people here in 1978, other than if the service member already had a headstone here, the spouse can still be buried here.
Right.
Because they already have a space. But other than that, they stopped in 78. So no modern war veterans are buried here, but it's just cool to go back and see the history of it. And it's very cool for me to be a part of the history of the 7th Cavalry Regiment. Very cool.
Lots of World War II guys buried here. And I didn't realize, because the first time we came here, we just kind of walked around here. I didn't realize that it went all the way down the hill here.
Yeah, it's pretty far.
So anyway, we're going to check out the battlefield and go into the visitor center. Check this out. It's sobering is what it is.
Yeah, it always is.
To me.
Yeah.
Yeah, unknown soldiers over here.
Yeah, infants, children,
Yeah.
civilians.
Look at this whole row of unknowns. That entire row is unknowns.
Yeah, and it's crazy to me because you don't see unknowns anymore.
Yeah, there will never be another
just
unknown.
because of technology and DNA and being able to find, there's people who research to find, lost service members. So to see unknowns is a rare thing nowadays.
Yeah, it's a sad thing for me.
Yeah.
The fact that their family just has no idea.
Yeah.
There's no ending. All right,
Very sobering though.
Yeah.
And very somber. Very cool though.
let's check this out. So we're up here at the top of the hill now, where the monument is, and this is kind of where the battle culminated that day on June 25th in 1876. And right behind me here is where Custer fell. That's where the black marker is. And what's interesting is to his immediate right is a lieutenant, so that was probably his adjutant, or the guy that kind of takes care of the colonel. And right in front of him is T.W. Custer. So there's some family involved, and there's a high concentration of soldiers up here where, this is where the flag was. And for those of you that have served, you kind of rally around the colors. This is where the headquarters was kind of monitoring and fighting the battle. And this is where Custer fell. Now, Custer is not buried here. George Armstrong Custer is actually buried at West Point in New York, where he graduated. So one of the things that I think is pretty interesting is that they all went down in pairs.
Yeah, battle buddy system, man.
Yeah, it's from 1876 to 2021. This is how we fight.
You don't fall alone.
And truly speaks to the brotherhood that they have with each other. That we're going to go down fighting.
And the warrior ethos. I'll never leave a fallen comrade.
That's right. I will never. And so you look at these where they lie all over this battlefield. I mean, if you look way down into this valley here, there's not one marker
by itself.
Yeah. I got chills.
Yeah.
Because even because with our background, that's how it is.
Yeah. Well, they didn't fall alone, so they didn't die at the exact same moment.
That's right.
So one fell, and the other one stayed there and fought, either to protect the remains of his buddy, to make sure that he made it home, dead or alive.
Yeah.
Or he died shortly after, fighting right there in that spot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very moving.
Yeah, very much so. Anyway.
That's how we roll.
That is how we roll, my friend. So we're walking down toward the Indian monument now. The Native Americans erected a monument here on the battlefield. One of the interesting things when you come to the Little Bighorn battlefield is there's, next to most of the placards, there is a number that you could dial up, or you could scan the little QR code, and it'll tell you the story about what happened and why that's significant.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, they didn't have that here 2 years ago when we were here.
No, they didn't. I don't think so, anyway.
Something newer.
Right behind us is a monument to the horses.
It's the cemetery for the
that
horses.
Fell. Yeah, where they buried the horses down here. So this is a sobering place. I'm really glad that it's here, because it's like the Civil War battlefields, back on the East Coast. I think it's important that we remember this stuff.
Here's one of the QR code.
Yeah, here we go. So we're down here in the Native American Memorial, and it represents all the tribes on the wall here. Pretty cool. So we're about 5 miles away from the Custer's Last Stand, or the Battle of Little Bighorn is about 5 miles off that way. We were reading the placard up there, and Reno and Custer were here, and they split the forces, and Custer kept going. Reno fought here, Custer fought there. And so, you know, like we were just talking, 5 miles back in that time, that was a lot of ground to cover, and it took a lot of time. So there was no, you know, there was no mutual support for what was going on during that battle. So this placard here kind of gives a map of the battlefield. There's a single marker out there with a red cross on it. Don't know if you can see it. I'll try to zoom in. But that's where the field hospital was. And out on the ridge lines here, all the way around the battlefield, they show where rifle pits were in fighting positions. So you could stand here and completely envision, you know, what the soldiers were kind of entrenched or in the defense, you know, maybe a hasty defense position. But yeah, that's the ultimate encircling the wagons. Hospital in the middle, everybody's fighting on the edges. What say you?
Field hospital.
All right. So I studied quite a bit of military history, and you know, you always think about Little Bighorn and Custer's Last Stand, but the battle or the fight here on June 25th and 26th of 1876, they were happening simultaneously. Don't really hear much about this one, because I'm looking at this terrain. Reno started back on the other side of the Little Bighorn River there. It was essentially chased up this hill by 600 warriors. You know, my experience as, you know, an infantryman for 21 years.
Can you imagine having to book up this hill?
No, you're not booking, you're fighting. They're fighting all the way up this hill. Terrain could be an enemy, and now you got 600 warriors chasing you up this hill, and you're fighting as you withdraw, and then you get up to the top of this ridge line, draw your line, and just say, this is where we have to fight it out. 40 men were killed right here. 40 men were killed here, and 13 were wounded. And this part of the battle is rarely talked about. You know, everybody talks about Custer 5 miles away, but nobody really talks about this, the Reno fight here. This is incredible. Okay, so as we wrap up our day here at the Custer, not the Custer battlefield, but the Battle of Little Bighorn battlefield monument, having seen everything that we saw, the whole 5 mile stretch, and seeing how the battle unfolded. Now, this is your first time here. What do you think?
It is, yeah. It's just so surreal. In your mind, you can play out how it happened. Very much props to the national parks, because they put this together very well, marking these places, putting up little placards to kind of get you through the story, because, you know, people who are not in the military really don't understand military tactics and maneuvers.
Right.
But for me, I can look out here and I can see the battle playing out, man.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said when we were back there at Benton, I got chills standing up on that ridge, just knowing that there were soldiers that were digging in for life. You know, and
we were talking off camera in the truck a little bit, and I said, you know, in my 20 years in the military, I never had that imminent feeling of, I think I will probably die today. I had some scary moments in my career for sure, but never had that moment where I think this is it.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna die. And these troops had that feeling that day.
Oh yeah. Yeah, how could you not?
Yeah, so that is just scary. I mean, you feel that even right now out here, you know, seeing this, you feel their fear.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and the way the markers, you know, nobody went alone.
Oh no.
And so you know that in their last moments.
Yeah.
That was something. All right, well, hey, I'm glad I came with you.
Yeah, man, it was awesome to experience this with you. That's very cool.
Cool. Little Bighorn Battlefield is definitely a place that you need to visit if you're in Montana. We're staying in Billings, so we drove the hour out here, 55 minutes,
Right.
to the battlefield. And you owe it to yourself to come out here and learn a little bit about our history.
Did you mention that every year on the week of June 25th they reenact the whole war?
I did not. The battle.
The battle. Sorry, the battle.
Yeah, June 25th of every year.
They reenact
They
the
have
battle.
reenactors.
That would be kind of cool to see.
Yeah. Wouldn't mind coming back for that. All right. Well, hey, let's walk.